welcome everybody. My name is Stacey Purslow. I am the Farm to School Coordinator, New Hampshire Farm to School Network Coordinator, as well as the New Hampshire School and Youth Garden Network Coordinator. And this is the second to last in our winter and spring webinar series around funding school gardens. And today we have three presenters: Carole Bays with Bethlehem Elementary School, Sharon Conway from Dunbarton Elementary School, and Kendziora of U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. And I will say Sharon unfortunately was not able to make it today, but I will be presenting on her behalf. And I know I won't do it justice, but she did send me her presentation. So I'm going to turn it over to Carole, admit a few more people into the room, and we'll get going. So feel free to ask questions as we go, raise your hand, put questions in the chat. And so Carole is going to go first, then I'll go second, and Ted's going to round us out at the end. And hopefully we'll have some time at the end for questions or discussion, or you can tell us about your gardens and plans for it, because we'd love to hear that too. All right, Carole.
Okay, so as you know, I'm not very good with technology.
Yep.
So we did go through it once.
So go down to share screen.
I will do that. And I did that. Do you see the presentation?
I do. You want to go back to the first slide?
Yeah.
Just use your arrows to go back on your keyboard.
It doesn't seem to be moving anywhere. Okay. Any ideas?
Can you go forward?
Let's see. No, I'm stuck.
And you're using the arrows on your keyboard.
Yes. So that I am using.
All right. Well, you can also stop playing it in slideshow and then just advance it.
So should I say stop share? Should I press stop share?
Slideshow, stop slideshow.
Oh, stop slideshow, stop video. So I've got my technology guy here with me that he's going to help me for a second.
Okay.
I hope. I'm trying to go back to my first screen, but it's not letting me, and it's not letting me.
The slide.
Yeah.
So try. Where's your page up?
Page up is here. Yeah, it's kind of like stuck.
So it's frozen.
Yeah, it's frozen in time.
You want to stop share and then
Start over? Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to, wait a sec, honey. Share screen. I apologize. I knew this was my nightmare.
To the presentation. See.
Yeah, it is locked up. Oh, here we go. Do you see the first slide?
no, you got to screen share again.
Oh, geez.
So there.
Yeah.
And then minimize this. Okay, that's your thing. So now you need to share screen.
Share.
Yep. Okay, nice left. And where's your
Right here.
look at that. As long as they can see that.
Do you see that right now?
Yep,
Do you see?
I do.
Okay.
Just
All right. Well, we're gonna get the dogs to be quiet. All right. Are we okay with this presentation? Like, do you see the first slide?
Yep.
Okay, so I can start?
Yep.
All right. Thank you for being so patient. I do not like technology, even though that I know we can't live without it. My name is Carole Bays. I'm a paraprofessional at Bethlehem Elementary School in Bethlehem, north of Franconia Notch. I've been with the school on and off for about 15 years. And I've also been living in Bethlehem for about the same amount of time. I'll give you a little bit of history of the garden, and then I'll go straight into the rest of the presentation. When COVID hit, the year prior to that, there were some very nice people in Bethlehem that decided that they wanted to start a garden club, and it was more adult oriented, and they were going to they got funding, which I'm not really privy to how they got that funding, but they ended up building 18 garden beds, which are about 8 by 4, and they're behind the elementary school on a piece of land that belongs to the town of Bethlehem. And then they did grow. I think the first year they grew vegetables, and they must have donated them, but I'm not really sure to who. And then COVID hit and everything shut down, and the garden beds were left unattended for during COVID. And in September, when school started, we were taking we were doing more like Zoom meetings, of course, and it was remote learning. And I did hear about the garden beds being unattended, and they were, they were just, and I thought, oh my God, I've been gardening all my life. Though I don't that's not my background. It's not, I don't have any degree in any type of farming. It's always like home gardens. So my whole front yard is gardens. And I thought to myself, wow, this is amazing. I went down and I looked at these garden beds, and I thought, we have to do something about this. So in the spring of 2021, if I'm not mistaken, we decided to start a garden club, and talk to the teachers, and they were all in. They were going to start seeds in their classrooms, and we were going to get the kids to go down to the garden beds, and we cleaned them up. They were a total mess because they had been untouched for a whole year, and we know what happens to soil if nothing is planted in the soil. Well, there's just weeds. So the weeds are doing great. So we cleaned up the garden beds. They were beautiful beds. And we went, okay, so we started all these seeds, and in May we went down. We planted we planted the little seedlings, and the kids were all excited. And then we went, well, what's going to happen to them? It's like summer's coming, school's out. What are we going to do? And the PE teacher, Kristen Bruno, and I looked at each other, and I was like, wow, we can't just let this be unattended. So I said, we'll take care of them. We'll water them. We'll come in and we'll harvest. And then we started thinking, why don't we just have a garden club? During the summertime, there's a lot of kids that aren't doing anything. So we talked to the principal of the school and went, that would be a good idea. So we went around, we talked to some of the kids, and we ended up having 8 students help us all summer long take care of the garden beds. And we were growing the vegetables, and they were looking nice. Some were very nice and others not so nice. And it was like kind of like, it was a mix of everything, because each classroom had taken a bed and planted stuff in the garden beds. So there was no, it was really not organized, but we took care of what was planted. And we went, okay, what are we going to do with all these vegetables that now we're harvesting? And I thought of, like, oh, we have a community dinner once a week. And I went and I spoke to them and I said, would it be okay that we donate our harvest to for the community dinners? And they thought that was a great idea. So we got the students to go and do the donation themselves, you know, like with our help. And they were super excited because they were feeling that they were contributing, they were doing something for their community. Because a lot of the people that go and they get, and these are free community dinners. So usually they have about 70 people go, and they either eat at the church that it's where the food is prepared, or they're able to do takeout and they take the food and they go home with it. And if they want to give a donation, a financial donation, they do. And if they don't, they can't afford it, then no money is required. So the summer program worked really well. The kids were super excited. They started talking about what we should do the next year. And it was like, wow, it's like, this is great. So Kristen, Bruno, and myself, we sat down and we started making a plan, because really we didn't know what we were doing the first year. We were just there, just trying to maintain and keep the kids entertained at the same time. So we would go on nature walks. We would get older students to read to younger students. And when school started in September, we went, okay, now should we open it up to the rest of the school? And we talked to we were calling them our senior students, and they were all, most of them were in third grade, that were helping us in the gardens during the summer of 2021. And they said, yes, we should open it up to everyone in the school. So I said, well, you need to do a presentation. And every student, those 8 students, went around to every classroom in the school, and they did presentations about what we do in the garden club. And they went, oh, we had 50 students sign up for the garden club out of 150 students from the school. So it was like, oh my God, now what are we going to do? And we were developing a curriculum as well, because we didn't want them just to hang around. We wanted them to be learning about plants, about pollinators, about, you know, like soil maintenance, about composting. And at the same time, what we did is we started a program that in the school, all the food waste from the school was going to be donated to a farm. And in return, they were going to bring us compost. So we were feeding their animals with our food waste, which was going to go to the landfills anyways. And this was going to be a great thing. And they had tried that several times during in the last, I would say 10 years to get this program going, but never seemed to work. There was always a reason why things couldn't be happening. And I went, you know what, we're just going to move forward. I don't really care what happened in the past and all the negative. I just want to keep moving forward. And that's what we basically did. We kept on moving forward. Another teacher came on board during this time, and she was a temporary teacher. But she really liked the idea of what we were doing and what we were doing with the students, and allowing them to learn and fail at the same time. And we were also, what we were doing, we weren't always successful, but I mean, that's part of growing and learning. So she had an opportunity a couple years back in her career to do a program with the Friends of Acadia. And she did a whole summer program with them. And in return, she was granted an opportunity to have up to $20,000 in grant money to a cause that would be able to connect Acadia National Park with the area that either she was working in or another teacher would be working in. And we sat down and we went, well, we could connect Acadia National Park with the North Country of New Hampshire. And we applied for the grant, and we worked really hard getting the application. And because of her, we were accepted, and we received a $5,000 grant. And that money would go directly to a greenhouse, which would also be our first outdoor classroom that not only would be used for the garden club, but also be used for other activities that the teachers would want to get involved in. And there would be another $15,000 that could be used for other things, but the garden club isn't involved in that. We said that we had very strict guidelines that if we were granted this money, we would have to show them how we are connecting Acadia National Park with our school, with our gardens. And we were lucky that we had a teacher who was very involved with Acadia, who spent many summers there, and even going in there in the winter time. So very knowledgeable about Acadia. And she's retired now, but we went and we talked to her, and she agreed that her and her husband, who was also a teacher, would come and do presentations to our students, and would relate Acadia and Bethlehem Elementary and our environment and how it's all connected. So we were lucky on that aspect that we did get the $5,000. The other 15, I don't know if we're going to be using it, how it's going to be used, but it's been offered to other teachers and other programs. And if they are able to do what is stipulated, what has to get done, then they will also be able to have access to those funds. We don't really need that because our goal was to get a greenhouse. So that being said, the greenhouse is ordered. We are going to have a greenhouse. Probably it'll be delivered sometime in May, and then we're going to have it put up, and we're going to continue expanding our gardens. So that was a lot. I'm sorry about that. And this is our gardens, actually, without the greenhouse, of course, because it hasn't been put up. But we have 18 garden beds plus 2 small ones that were donated last year by a parent who their father is a carpenter. So they also they gave us 2 extra garden beds. And we also have a hugel bed that the kids and the teachers put together, which is all made with natural products. We went and we gathered sticks, wood, branches, leaves, everything, and we put together a hugel bed, which you don't really see because it's on the other side of the garden beds. Now, we had no water. That was something that we had no access to water with these garden beds. We had to go down to the park. There's a park down below, and we had to literally connect 4 hoses, and we'd have to bring the hoses all the way up to the garden beds in order to be able to water. And it's like, that's ridiculous, like this makes no sense. So we went and we talked to the town, and they actually brought the water to us last year. So last year it was so much easier because we didn't have to lug the water, and we didn't have to drag 4 hoses attached one after another. So like the town is very open to helping us. Hopefully they'll be very open to helping us level the land in order to put the greenhouse together. So our main goal with the gardens is it's not just growing vegetables, it's getting students to understand that they have a role in our community. And we're trying to develop little leaders and for them to understand that they have a purpose. And there's people that are, like that don't have the same fortune as they do, and they are able to learn how to grow their own vegetables, their own fruit. Eventually, hopefully, we'll have fruit as well. And they're able to donate either to the community. We're donating either to the community dinners or to the little free pantry that we also have, which we also donated quite a bit of food to last summer and into the fall. The way we, when we talk about fundraising, I definitely feel that I've been blessed by not having to put a little table and to go to Walmart and look for money that way. Well, I say we, I've knocked on a lot of business doors. I've talked to them about the Garden Club, what we hope to do with our students. And this is an elementary school. I don't remember if I told you this, but this is pre-K to 6th grade. So we're working with young students. We've had quite a few news reports that have talked about us, interviewed us. I've talked to business leaders, telling them about what we're doing. We're not really asking them for money. What we're asking them is to support us in ways that that is easy for them, and it's either giving us exposure, talking about the Garden Club to other people. The community leaders are very open to the Garden Club. The parents have fallen in love with us, and the PTA as well. They donated 4 picnic tables last year to the Garden Club, which before we had we had to sit on the ground. There's it's not a problem to sit on the grass, but if you're trying to write a report, or if you're trying to do something, like to do an experiment, it's a lot easier to have picnic tables than to clipboards on the ground. So they were very generous, and we were also very fortunate that by knocking on some business doors, I connected quite well with the Littleton Food Co-op, and we were given a grant, a little over $1,400 last fall, and we were also voted in as January Partner of the Month, which they collected over $5,000 for the Garden Club. So besides that, we have parents that have come to parents that their students don't even come to our school anymore, that they heard about it or they read it in the paper about what we're doing. They literally would come to the school with an envelope and they would give us $20 or $40, or they would show up with a wheelbarrow because we didn't have a wheelbarrow. They don't, and so they, it really comes down to connections, not being afraid to talk to people, actually to anybody who wants to listen. And you never know who you're going to be talking to that actually could be of value. They might have a connection, and they can connect you with other people that might have either tools or materials or knowledge of gardening, so it's like, for us, that's how we do our funding, or that's how we've done our funding. Like I said, we're going to get our greenhouse come May, and hopefully this is our potato harvest from last year. We were super excited about this. The kids, most of the kids that we work with have never gardened before. So, and we had a super harvest of potatoes and garlic and onion, and like I said, everything that was donated. What we're hoping for is, when we're looking ahead, now that we're going to have a greenhouse, we're hoping to sell plants in the future, and that hope, and it quite possibly will help us keep funding our greenhouse and our garden club. We're going to collect seeds. What we'd like to really do is become self-sufficient, where we're not having to buy seeds. We're not having to, we're gonna be a self-sufficient garden club. I've already mentioned that local farms and our school, we're doing the barter system. We give them our food that we would have thrown away, and they bring us back compost, which is great for our garden beds. And I'm hoping that within the next 2 years, we'll have an orchard that we're going to start. And there again, I'm going to connect with other people and hopefully have it donated, have trees donated to us. And I'm hoping that we'll have heat established in our greenhouse, so we'll be able to actually grow food all year round, which will help the community dinners, the little free pantry, and hopefully even provide some food to our students at our school. The other goal is that we want the older students in our school to be taking charge of and teaching the younger students what needs to get done to have a successful garden. And the teachers will be more of a supportive role, and the older students will be teachers. Like I said, anybody who can, anyone can really grow vegetables, but what we're really trying to grow is our leaders, and that our students are connected to their community, and they'll want to stay, and they want to feel that they're successful. And when they go to the middle school or to the high school, that they're going to want to do the same thing at their new school. Because actually the profile high school, middle school, high school in our community doesn't have a garden, but they do have the possibility. They have even more land than we do, but it's not being used. So I'm hoping that our students that will be going to their new school in the next couple of years, once they graduate from Bethlehem Elementary, that they'll go, we know what we have to do, and this is what we want. And if they ask for it, they will get it. They will be capable of getting a garden there, which means that they can also feed their community, and will be able to grow even more food. And hopefully that is something that they'll be able to carry on for the rest of their lives. So I'm thinking that is really all I can say, except for one thing that I think I missed, is that this year we will have a booth at the at our farmers market in Bethlehem, and it's the 5th grade students will be doing the marketing. They will be doing the research on the cost of producing certain foods, certain vegetables, growing certain vegetables. And what we were hoping to do is sell onions, garlic, and maybe a couple of other vegetables. Any of the profits, and the students are the ones that are going to decide on the pricing. Any of the food that is sold, any of the profits, half of the profits will go to the community dinners, because they have other things that they need to buy for the community dinners that we can't grow. So that'll help them. And the other half of the money will go back into the garden club. So like I said, we're trying to make it that we're going to be self-sufficient, and we won't have to be asking the school board for money or any other organization for money, that we will be able to take care of ourselves. So thank you for listening. I don't know if you have any questions or.
Yeah, thanks, Carol. Georgia has a question.
Sure.
Thank you so much, Carol, for sharing. And I didn't know if you'd be willing to go back up to the 5th slide. I just wanted to jot down a couple more notes from up there.
Oops, the 5th slide. Let's see.
Yeah, that one.
It's right here.
Yes.
Ah,
Thank you very much.
oh, you're welcome.
Okay, all good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. Carol, can you stop sharing your screen?
I'll try. No, I think I can. Yes.
There you go. All
All
right.
right, I'm becoming a pro.
Jennifer, any suggestions for finding relevant grants? I'm not sure what you mean by relevant, Jennifer. If you just want to come off mute and ask just a little more clarity around that question. Oh, you just mean school garden grants.
There's a lot of grants out there. If you go online, I know every week I get emails from different, like possibilities. Actually, Bonnie, I'm getting 26 cabbage plants. It's a, they do this every year. It's kind of like a little competition. It's for the 3rd graders. And I'm not sure, I think it's closed now, but you have to apply. They open their applications February 1st, and you apply if and you tell them how many students you have in 3rd grade. And then what happens is that you take pictures throughout the summer, and at the end of the summer, you send the pictures, and maybe like the students send like a little blurb about growing their cabbage, and there's some money to be awarded there. But there's other ones, and I can't really think about them off the top of my head. I should have maybe jotted them down, or I could send you some links.
I have a list. I will put up a link to the New Hampshire School Garden.org website, which has a grant list there.
Yeah.
And I'll put that up in a little bit. Yeah, keep putting some questions in the chat, but we're going to move on because we still have 2 more presentations to do. So I'm going to start with the Roots Club at Dunbarton Elementary School. And Dunbarton, New Hampshire is just a little west of Concord, New Hampshire. So the Dunbarton Roots Club is an after-school gardening club for elementary school students in grades 1 through 6. It's run by staff members who are given a stipend for their time. And Sharon, the Roots Club leader, says that stipend is actually in the school district's budget. So that's a potential funding opportunity if you can get your school district budget to help support the garden. But they also get assistance by parents and community volunteers. So what are we? They're a club that teaches students about gardening and plants. They participate in gardening and beautification projects in their school outdoor spaces. They encourage stewardship and responsibility towards the environment. Oh. So they are located in Dunbarton, New Hampshire at the Dunbarton Elementary School. They hold their club meetings in their outdoor spaces, and they have an outdoor learning space garden beds, a terraced pollinator garden, sunflower beds, and wildflower beds. This year, they are putting in a vegetable garden as well. So this is half of the Roots Club from last year. They actually had, much like Carol said, a lot of interest from students. So I think they said they've got 45 kids who signed up last year, and they had to now figure out how to do it twice a week, and get parent volunteers because they couldn't handle, all the kids coming at once. So they had to split it up. So very popular program there. So here's some of their existing garden beds. They're doing some spring cleanup last year. Doing some more flower planting prep with the sunflower garden, and in the pollinator garden. Doesn't look like too much. Unfortunately, she didn't provide me any slides of when it was actually growing. But the kids obviously love digging in the dirt. So what do? They instruct students about plants and gardening. They plant flowers, they make decorative pots, sunflower garden, doing a vegetable garden. They have an herb and strawberry pots. They learn about seeds, composting, water, pollinators, the environment, and art. And they do a lot of collaboration with the local garden club to create jack-o'-lanterns and Christmas ornaments for community holiday celebrations. So this is from, so their garden club only runs right now in May and June. So it's about a 6 or 7 week club. And then they have people that come, volunteers that come and help maintain things over the summer and harvest food from it. But in the fall and in early winter, when they're not gardening, the garden club works with them. They give them money, and the school goes buy pumpkins, and the garden club carves pumpkins, and the pumpkins become part of their trick-or-treat town event. And at Christmas, the kids decorate ornaments for the town's Christmas tree. Also, again, supplied by the local garden club. So the Dunbarton Garden Club is pretty active. They do a lot of things in the community, and they do other things with the school as well, including growing flowers. They give, growing flower kits to teachers, so they have some things to grow in the classroom. So it's more than just the outdoor garden space that the garden club helps with. So how do they do it all? So they have active parent volunteers who attend weekly sessions. And again, it's more than weekly sessions. It's twice a week because of so many students that want to do it. And they need those parent volunteers to help. So that the parent volunteers help with cleanup in the garden beds, help maintain the beds. And students also are creating compost and various garden themed art projects. Like here they are painting rain barrels for the garden. And who supports them? So they have a membership fee. So kids that want to participate in the garden club pay a $25 membership fee. But it's there, if a family can't afford that, then they have some scholarships available as well. So every year there's $25 from each child's family. They get parent donations of supplies, much like Carol said, ask and you'll probably get it from the community. They get money from their PTO, much like Carol's program. And then the Dunbarton Garden Club itself also sponsors the program with funding as well as supplies. So they have a mixed variety of ways that they fund their garden and sustain their garden too. I think we've all heard the stories that you had one champion in the school who did the garden, they went away, the garden dies. So these programs have a lot of outside support and some dedicated school-based support that makes them successful. All right, so if anyone has any questions about Dunbarton Elementary, I can either try to answer them or I can get them to the garden coordinator, who unfortunately was not able to be here today. So any questions about that one before we move on? All right. Okay. Ted, are you ready?
I am ready. So,
And am I doing it or?
well, right now I think I can try. If you guys see, I have my name up there twice. I'm on my phone and my computer. I know technology, but my internet does not want to cooperate with me today. So, oh, you'll have to enable my hosting though.
I did.
Okay. I think you disabled it, it says. Try the other Thaddeus.
Oh, hold on. Okay. Okay. Okay.
So again, I can start as we go here because we're having a little technical difficulty here and we are running behind schedule, it looks like here, but that's all right. We started late. I hope everybody's having a good time. And here we go. All right. So again, my name's Ted Kendziora, and I'm with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. And so I think I know a couple of your schools over here. A couple of the names came up that I recommend and that our organization has funded. We did actually give funding to Dunbarton in 2022. I'm not sure if they remembered us or not, because those are all the COVID years and it was tough. So we weren't getting out to schools. But anyways, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, we have a schoolyard habitat program as well. Not sure if any of you know about that, but I'm going to kind of give an overview of what's going on. So I'm going to talk about the program a little bit, the goals in our program, the importance of planning, how we can assist you, and then obviously the big topic here, funding, and what we can do to try to get people in funding. So again, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, they've had a schoolyard program for many years now. And so in 2015, my boss came to me and asked me if I wanted to run a schoolyard program out of New Hampshire. Being a good employee, I said, yeah, sure, let's do this. You know, I think he picked me because I had kids. I don't think anybody else had kids in our office at that time, or they were older. So I got together in 2015 with New Hampshire Audubon, and we started discussing, well, what's a schoolyard habitat program? What's a schoolyard garden? And like everybody here, we were a little confused. So what I did is I went out searching on the internet for all sorts of programs and started looking at it over the years or over that year. And then ended up seeing that New Hampshire Fish and Game, New Hampshire Audubon, and Project Learning Tree all had the same exact grant applications. They were all giving only $200. And the application seemed like a lot of work for the teachers, right, for $200. So I got together with this group, and in 2016, we started what is called the the Schoolyard Action Grant Program. So New Hampshire Fish and Game, New Hampshire Audubon, Project Learning Tree, and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, we now put together our money in a cooperative agreement, and we give out grants to schools. And so since 2016, we've given out about, I think about 80 grants to probably 70 different schools, probably totaling over $80,000. They run in range from a few $100s to several $1,000s. And I think our application, I'm trying to make it as easy as possible. We're taking applications of just videos of you guys and your kids requesting funds, trying to make it simple and enjoyable and engaging. So, you know, who are we? As I said, that was my group. But again, we're here with, you know, New Hampshire Farm to School, that's another organization. And, University of New Hampshire Cooperative Extension, Department of Education, 4-H Club. There are so many partners that we are all trying to do the same. But what we try to do is we gather all our experience so that we can help you. So you don't have to go looking around. So this is kind of like a one-stop shop. If you guys have questions and you want to email Stacey, she can find someone that can help you. Or you can email me and I can find someone that can help you too, right? I don't know everything. I'm a habitat specialist. I love going to schools and I love planning gardens, habitats, outdoor classrooms, etc. But we have wildlife educators, grant specialists, policy specialists, people that develop programs. And so what we try to do is we help to organize and get you grants, either via our grants that we are giving out or other people grants. So we help you, write grants, gather information to obtain these grants. Basically what I do is I am a consultant. So I come out there, we call it technical service, and I can come out and walk around your school, talk to you about ideas. Again, I've been all over New Hampshire doing this. I work throughout all of New England. So I've done schools up and all the way down to Cape Cod. So I have a lot of experience. I've seen a lot of things, talked to a lot of people. Again, we working with Audubon and New Hampshire Fish and Game. We're doing educational experiences or lessons. We have pieces of paper we can give you. We can come to your classroom and teach. We have webinars on our web pages. And then, what I do or pride myself in doing is I help build those outdoor classrooms or implement the habitat projects. So again, kind of what the goal of my program is, right? So we're all kind of biased to what we want to do. Farm to School is a garden club or gardening organization. However, I think that what I do really reaches out to gardening, right? And I think and I'll talk about this, we have to get definitions and terms right. So what is a garden? Some of you may think of it as a vegetable garden and others may look at it and say, oh, it's a pollinator garden, So everybody has their own opinion of what it is. My group, we try to tend to focus on that pollinator side of things, give out money, because we have organizations like Farm to School and other that can focus on the vegetable gardening side of it. So how do we do this? Well, first we try to assist the schools. We initiate. So what we want to do is we want to try to form a team, and that's a team amongst our staff and your staff, and not only your staff, but if it's a school, the children in the school. We talked, Stacey mentioned something about, the groups getting together and how important it is to have that mentor, that one leader, right? So I've been doing this, like I said, since 2015, and I've lost a lot of teachers along the way. They've retired, and then the project has gone away, right? So that I really try to focus in on the community doing it now and not just one individual teacher. So from there, what we go with your team, we evaluate what you have on your project site. We brainstorm ideas about what do you want to do? What do the children want to do? What do you want to teach? What is this part of? Is it going to be truly an after-school idea, or can we integrate it into school? From there, we want to develop a master plan from those ideas and develop a timeline of when we want to do it. From that next step, we want to start creating. So now we want to start designing this thing in details. Think of a maintenance plan. As we heard and talked about, some places are not around in the summertime. So we got to figure out, what are we going to do? Do we need to get this established before summer and make sure it's all watered in, or are we going to go there in the summer and water things like that? We need to create a very detailed budget so we can figure out a funding plan, right? And that's the most important part because when you apply for grants, and if you can't execute on those grants, it is highly unlikely that you'll be able to ever ask for that grant again if you showed that you failed in the first place. So I think it's very important to do your due diligence up front, get an idea, then then start looking for funding opportunities. And then after that, we incorporate all this stuff. So you don't get rid of me that easily. I don't just give you the money and walk away. We come out there, we help you utilize the project. We teach the kids. I go on field trips with them. I've brought them to garden centers to teach them about composting or planting plants so they can understand that. We have, like I said, we have Audubon come out, give presentations or lectures, or we bring them to the Audubon Center, depending on what you ask for and what we're trying to do. And then from there, what we try to do is we try to share your project, right? So we don't want anyone trying to do this by themselves. We want to try to make a community out of this. So you can be like, hey, the town next to me did this. Let's do this. So we've created several maps that we utilize that people are free to jump on, look at it. And I'll drop those links on the chat so people can look at it. And then you can be like, oh, they did a project here. And Stacey, I think you have one of those cooperative extension maps that we can probably share. The garden one is one of them, right?
I'll see if I can find that.
Yep. And we can send it out later too. So here's an example of some of the stuff that we've done, right? So this is going into a private school, but just, simply beautifying the entranceway, right? Going to school and now you have a smile on your face when you see those beautiful flowers. It's going to really change your day. It was a pretty simple project, but it took a lot of work. Over here, we have a garden that we help with. So this is just one of them, an empty slate, turning the soil over, planting wildflowers, things like that. I've done this at schools, and to help maintain them, we've kept the shapes small. We've made them into gingerbread shapes, hearts, stars, you name it, just to keep it small enough and keep the kids interested in it. I'm starting to become a big proponent now of not having the kids turn the soil and digging out the grass. It's not very educational. So I like to try to get that done first and let them put their hands in the soil to plant and reap that benefit there. They're not laborers, and honestly, not many of them know how to use a shovel. I don't have time to teach that, but we have a lot of fun. And then here, what we try to do is we try to come up with a plan that gives us a lot of diversity throughout the year, blooming throughout the season, rocks and logs for animals and wildlife and nesting sites. We want paths. We want paths that are accessible. We want paths that are challenging in climbing. We can throw vegetables in here so you can pick things. We have sensory gardens. We have gardens that make noise. So there's all sorts of ideas out there. We can put art into these things. Math, geometry, you name it. Anything can be done outside. And it's a great idea to reach out to your, think outside the box, right? We don't have to just keep talking to the science teacher. We can talk to the math teacher, the art teacher, the literature teacher, the history teacher. We have a school that created a wigwam outside, and they teach history out there when they're during their American Indian lessons out there. So it's fantastic. Next, put up some signs and advertise it. Signs are expensive, but you'd be surprised if you write a letter how many sign places will donate you a nice sign. Be careful with the signs. Don't want them to be outdated quickly. There are QR codes now, which is fantastic for general people walking or older students. But be mindful of that with little ones that aren't carrying around cell phones or aren't allowed in the school. Have signs that you can interchange stuff, make an activity out of it, things to that nature. So again, this is kind of why I'm here. I'm sorry I rushed through that first part, but I want to respect people's time. So, grant opportunities, there are so many of them, and we'll drop some in the link and stuff like that. But you can reach out to well-known places like the New Hampshire Environmental Educators. They have grants that come out. There are grants that you don't think that you can get, like outdoor structure companies, Weatherport. Things, what is the other? Keene gives out money. Home Depots, Walmarts, big box stores. All these places usually give out some kind of funding some way or another. The one that I stress is through the New Hampshire Fish and Games website. That's where I give out my funds. So that's kind of the most important one to me, but it's not the only one. I don't limit you on where you can get money from or anything like that. And again, what the importance is basically the highlights of this, what we're here to talk to you about funding, right? So first, we want you to create a plan, right? And a budget. And so again, how do you do that? You have to have a team in place. Pick the best team possible. Try to get as many people on that team that have a passion for it and are going to be around for a while, and get it ingrained into the system. Try to get it budgeted through the school or have an official program if that's what you're working through. You know, be realistic on this. Think about the plans and the budgets when you do an overall design. Are you going to do everything and ask for $300,000? Or can you piecemeal it and ask for a few $1,000s here or a couple $100s to start improving it and building it, working up that maintenance schedule, having people committed to it. You know, so also, you know, being realistic, and it comes down to working with your local community, I think, is the biggest thing I can stress, right? We give out classes, and if you go to classes with me, yeah, I become biased and I go, hey, they're interested in this stuff. Yeah, I want to fund them, compared to places that are reaching out to me and they're like, hey, we want to get kids outside for gym class. Can you give us money? You know, and I'm like, no, you're looking at the wrong group. I'm not here for sports equipment or getting kids outside for exercise. They can definitely exercise in the garden, but you got to work on how you presented that to us. So again, that being that realistic or using the proper terms and definitions that I was talking about, right? So again, if somebody wanted to put trees in a park or something like that, right? Like, you'd have to come to me, read what we do, and write a grant that talks about that and says, hey, oh, okay, I understand what you're talking about. You don't do gardens, but you do, oh, you've put in shade trees for other schools. This is what we want. I want to do a shade tree, you know, and we say, okay, they understand what we're doing. So you really have to look at the definition, like writing a paper back in school, right? Answer the questions with the questions they're asking or their examples that they have. And again, the being local, you can reach out to the Center for Nonprofits here or the Charitable Foundation. There are advisory funds where you can just call up, and if they like you, they just give you the money. There's, you know, so again, once you start with these little steps and you start working on your project, you know, it's a lot easier than to go to these national grants, right? So if you're looking at a Walmart or a Home Depot or even a Disney grant, right? Like, it's better. It's easier to work locally, have that communication, have a great team, put together a great project, ask for grants, ask for funding from there, be accepted with that, and then go to that national thing. Grants are a lot of work. I wouldn't want to see you guys write a grant for Disney, tell all the kids we're going to get a Disney grant and the garden's going to look like Disney World, and you don't even get accepted into the Disney grant program, right? Then everybody's heartbroken. So keep it local, keep it realistic, have a great plan, have a solid budget, go out to stores, look at prices of things, talk to contractors, see if they can donate time or materials. And again, the way I like to do it is I like to have the kids do it. And that's why I get the English teachers involved or the art teachers. They can send them letters. They can send them tiles for gifts. Talk to your local community leaders, your mayors, your councilmen, town commissioners. It just doesn't stop. It should not be between you and a small group of kids in the school. It should be the whole school, the whole community, if you want this to work. So again, I tried to rush. It's 4:30. I understand if you have to leave, but I I'm here to answer any questions, and I don't think our time stops us, right, Stacey?
No, thanks,
Okay.
Ted. That's great. Yeah, Ted's a great resource because he will actually come out to your school and advise you on schoolyard habitat, as well as all of the grant opportunities that his program has. And we will send out all of those as a follow-up to this. So there's a question. So some of us are from Maine, Ted. Is there a counter organization in Maine that does the same thing that you do?
Yeah, there is. So I'm with Partners for Fish and Wildlife Service. I can definitely get you in touch with my partner's biologist that's up there. I do work in southern Maine, so it all depends where you are. But Dina, I looked it up. You're pretty far north, right?
We're in Western Mountains.
Okay, so yeah, so I'm usually only southern down east up to Portland, and just along the coast is where I work. Hannah is my partner up there, and she's in Bangor, Maine. So she could help you out with that.
She's a couple hours from us too.
Yeah, well, that's all right. We drive all over the place. There's only a couple of us all over. Like I said, I go to Hudson River Valley in New York, down to Cape Cod. I do it all the time. If Hannah can't help you, I'll be more than happy to help you.
Awesome.
I'm not sure about how much schoolyard experience she has, so I can help guide that and help you with that, and see if there's anything that I can do or advise for fundings, or if we have funding or anything like that. So I think, I don't know if my information's on somewhere, right?
I'll send it. I'll send your
Okay.
presentation, Ted, because you gave it to me, so I can send
Okay.
it out. Another question is recommendations for navigating school garden or schoolyard habitat projects with school facilities teams.
Well, yeah, that's a tough one. That's recommendations I say is, you have to get out there and you have to talk to them. I can't tell you the number of projects where maintenance people have just mowed down what we planted, or they protected it this year, but then next year there's new people and it got mowed down. So you really have to be in communications with maintenance and however that works, and administration. Again, when you build this team, that's why I can't stress the importance of having those people there, right? Because they're the ones that are going to create the budget or give you time or a stipend, or know, hey, we're changing maintenance people, FYI, this is what's going on. Creating a map really helps too, right? Here's your regime. This is what you're mowing. This is not a mowable area, right? And have good solid contracts when they do hire out people, that if something gets mowed down it's not supposed to, that company should have to pay for it. And then the other great thing is if we can get some more wildflower gardens or fields there, that's less money in mowing, and that saves the budget, right? Less fuel, less chances of danger of contamination, everything. So did I answer that question sufficiently?
Carole, do you have anything to add to that question about working with the school facilities?
I think I've been very blessed. The maintenance people at our school are very helpful. They even put together the picnic tables for us. Sean is even thinking of helping us put up the greenhouse. So it really, I think, and I think Ted was kind of like, he said the same thing. It's creating relationships, building, like a team, and it's not just the garden club. Everybody has to be involved, and and you just go out and you talk to everybody who is willing to listen to you, and I think that's what really helps. I didn't mention this, but Eversource has donated several loads of wood chips to us. And I suppose we were helping them also because they were looking to find a way to dump their wood chips. But for us, it was very helpful. We needed the wood chips. And I've created a relationship with with them, and they want to create a pollinating garden for us. So, and they're going to pay for it. So, you know, it's like, I think taking opportunities, taking the time to talk to people, to thanking them for whatever they donate or whatever they're willing to do, and keeping all the possibilities open, you know, that's where you're going to be successful. And when Ted was mentioning Home Depot and Lowe's, I knocked on their doors, and they were more than willing to help us. And I'm hoping they'll be willing to help us again this spring. You know, it can't always be free, but whatever they're willing to help us with, you know, that's that much less that we have to worry about.
Great, thank you. So we're going to wrap it up, but thank you both to Ted and Carole for your invaluable information. Again, we will be sending out resources, including lists to funding ideas. And some of the takeaways, I think, are communicate, like build those relationships within the school and community. Ask for stuff if you need it, because you might get it. Ask for supplies, ask for money. Talk to the PTO, the garden club, ask the school district if they'll put it into the school budget. Apply for local grants first. Those national grants, that means you're competing nationally. So just try to, you know, try to find funding locally. It's probably easier. And that, you know, also goes to sustaining your garden programs too. So, you know, you've got a lot of people involved that are willing to help out. Instead of leaving it to one or two people in the school district. So thanks for joining us this afternoon. Our final webinar will be next month, and we'll be talking about gardening, arts and games in the garden, it's called. So other ways to use the garden. So thank you so much.